Santa Claus Part 2. In an 1879 edition of the New York Sun, Frances Parcells Church wrote a famous editorial in reply to a girl's letter. She asked, quote, "Is there a Santa Claus?" End quote. Church's answer became the most reprinted editorial in U.S. history. He did not sign it. The letter writer was Virginia O'Hanlon, who lived in western Manhattan. She was the only child of her mother and father, who was a doctor. Virginia wrote, quote, "Dear editors, I am 8 years old. Some of my little friends say there is no Santa Claus. Papa says, if you see it in the sun, it is so. So please tell me the truth. Is there a Santa Claus?" End quote. The editor, Francis Church, was 58 years old. He gave careful thought to his response, scrupulous to avoid the possible pitfalls. It reads in part, quote, "Virginia, your little friends are wrong. They have been affected by the skepticism of a skeptical age. They do not believe except that they see. All minds, Virginia, men's or children's, are little. In this great universe of ours, man is a mere insect in his intellect compared with the boundless world about him. Yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus. He exists as certainly as love and generosity and devotion exist, and know that they abound and give life its highest beauty and joy. Alas, how dreary would be the world if there were no Santa Claus. It would be as dreary as if there were no Virginias. There would be no childlike faith then, no poetry, no romance. We should have no enjoyment except in sense and sight. The eternal light with which childhood fills the world would be extinguished. Nobody sees Santa Claus, but that's no sign there is no Santa Claus. The most real things in the world are those that neither children nor men can see. Nobody can conceive or imagine all the wonders there are unseen and unseeable in the world. Only faith, fancy, love can push aside that curtain and view the supernal beauty and glory beyond. Supernal means heavenly or celestial. Is it real? Ah, Virginia, in all this world there's nothing else real and abiding. No Santa Claus? Thank God he lives, and he lives forever. 1,000 years from now, Virginia, nay, 10 times 10,000 years, he will continue to make glad the heart of childhood." End quote. The response Church wrote reflected popular theology of the late Victorian era and echoed sermons on the existence of God. In 1914, an editorial in the New York City Christian weekly, The Outlook, saw Santa Claus as a symbol of love, which is part of a child's developing image of God. Virginia O'Hanlon grew up, became Mrs. Virginia Douglas, and retired after a career as a public school teacher and principal. She granted repeated interviews and received hundreds of letters herself. Virginia later told the Sun, quote, "I have never been so happy in my life," end quote, as when she read Church's response. Again, she speaks, "All I did was ask the question." She told her nephew, "Mr. Church's editorial was so beautiful. It was Mr. Church who did something wonderful," end quote. Virginia O'Hanlon Douglas died in 1971 at age 81. The editorial has remained popular over 100 years later, not because of what it says to children, but what it says to adults about the fleeting innocence of childhood and the struggle for faith. In 1898, there was a short 1-minute, 16-second motion picture, Santa Claus. It was made by George Albert Smith, an Englishman. It begins with Nanny putting the children to bed on Christmas Eve. Santa Claus is shown going down the chimney. He has no sack but brings a tabletop Christmas tree and one toy for each stocking tied to the end of the bed. In 1912, actor Leadham Bantock played Santa Claus in a 15-minute British silent film, which he also directed. The movie, Santa Claus, used both live action and detailed models of towns and buildings. Early in the 20th century, Santa Claus appeared dressed in red and white and in essentially its current form on several covers of Puck magazine. Puck was a successful humor publication of the United States. Santa was still being depicted personally making his toys by hand in a small workshop like a craftsman, or he had numerous elves making the toys. But the toys were still handmade by each individual elf working in the traditional manner. As mass production became widespread in America, Santa's elves soon joined the factory worker on the assembly line. The elves produced toys under the direction of overseer elves, with Santa like an executive no longer getting his hands dirty. Gift wrapping paper happened by accident. It was 1917 in Kansas City, and a postcard and greeting card shop ran out of the traditional plain tissue paper. Instead, they offered customers some decorated paper from France that was meant for lining the inside of envelopes. It quickly sold out. The owners of the shop, J. Clyde and Raleigh Hall, promoted the item and introduced more designs. In the 1930s, they added a ribbon to make packages even prettier. This is how the company Hallmark and the wrapping paper industry were born. Almost $10 billion was sold in 2023, all gleefully shredded by gift recipients. Sadly, most wrapping paper isn't even recyclable due to foil mixed with the paper to enhance the designs and a heavy coating of ink. In the 1920s, Norman Rockwell's covers for the Saturday Evening Post added more details to what Americans thought Santa looked like. He carefully studied real men as models and humanized the character. But some think the excessive realism lacks a veil of softness and eternal youthfulness at heart that other great illustrators later achieved. Men dressed in Santa suits appear at various places in the weeks before Christmas. It is believed James Edgar started the practice in 1890 at his Brockton, Massachusetts department store, where children could tell Santa their wishes. Setting the Santa actor up for taking pictures has been a ritual since at least 1918. A nice big chair or sleigh for Santa and lots of holiday decorations are props, and maybe an assistant dressed like an elf. A box of tissues might be in order because some little ones burst into tears when they're set on the big guy's lap. Christmas parades open the season in some countries, including the United States, Canada, France, Belgium, and Finland. Santa Claus on his sleigh follows the marching bands, dancers, theme floats, and giant balloon characters. They all head toward the center of town. The parades are often sponsored by department stores to boost their brand during the critical Christmas shopping season. The Christmas parade is a direct descendant of the late medieval and Renaissance revivals of Roman triumphs. These ancient pageants had music, banners, and wagons filled with the spoils of war. They climaxed with a victorious Roman general riding in a chariot drawn by horses. The first Christmas parade was in December 1889 in Peoria, Illinois. Frederick Block of the Shipper and Block department store sponsored the parade, which featured Santa Claus at the end. Peoria's Christmas parade is still conducted. Over the years, it has had fireworks, a calliope, circus wagons, and live reindeer, caribou, which are the same species. The Peoria parade has always been held on the day after Thanksgiving. The concept of a department store parade was later emulated in larger cities. Toronto, Canada began its big parade in 1905, sponsored by Eaton's department store. Santa arrived on a train. Mr. and Mrs. Timothy Eaton met him, and they walked to the downtown Eaton store. Gimbel's department store in Philadelphia began its parade in 1920. The first on Thanksgiving Day is now known as the Dunkin' Donuts Parade. In New York City, the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade was first held in 1924. Macy's department store employees dressed as clowns, cowboys, and other fun costumes and traveled with Central Park Zoo animals and creative floats for a lengthy 6 miles. In 1927, Felix the cat became the first giant balloon. They inflated him with helium the next year. Without a plan to deflate Felix, parade organizers simply let him fly off into the sky. Unfortunately, he popped soon thereafter. The next year, balloon designers added a release valve. The Macy's parade was carried on radio in 1932, use your imagination, and first televised in 1946 in New York City. It went national on NBC the next year. The first soft drink company to utilize the modern image of Santa Claus in its advertising was White Rock Beverages in their ads for mineral water in 1915 and 16. But those Santa ads were black and white. In 1923 to 25, White Rock used color images of Santa in promotions for ginger ale. The illustrator was Fred Mizzen. White Rock's color ads show a Santa indistinguishable from Coca-Cola's in the 1930s. In fact, Fred Mizzen did a painting for a Coke ad himself. A department store Santa in a crowd drinks a glass of the brown cola for a 1930 display ad in the Saturday Evening Post. Classic images of Santa Claus were conveyed through the great American illustrator Haddon Sundblom. His paintings for the Coca-Cola Company's Christmas advertising appeared from 1931 through 1966. The company decided in 1931 to place Coca-Cola ads in many popular magazines. Archie Lee, account executive working with the Coca-Cola Company at DRC Advertising, wanted the campaign to show a wholesome Santa who was both realistic and symbolic. Warm, friendly, pleasant, plump, and human. Michigan-born illustrator Haddon Sundblom was commissioned to develop advertising images showing Santa himself, not a man dressed as Santa. In the beginning, Sundblom painted Santa using a live model, his friend Lou Prentice, a retired salesman. When Prentice passed away, Sundblom used himself as a model, painting while looking into a mirror. People loved the Coke Santa ads and studied them closely. Sundblom's creations became the standard Christmas imagery across the world. In 1942, Sundblom created Sprite Boy, Santa's companion who was a sprite or elf. He appeared in advertising throughout the 1940s and 50s. In 1961, Coca-Cola introduced the popular beverage, Sprite. Coca-Cola's competitor, Pepsi-Cola, used similar Santa Claus paintings in their advertisements in the 1940s and 50s. After movies had sound, many featured Santa Claus as a protagonist. The Miracle on 34th Street from 1947 by 20th Century Fox is a perennial favorite. Ho, ho, ho is the way Santa Claus laughs in English-speaking countries. In the American form, it's ho, 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 Merry Christmas. It's a deep-throated chuckle that has long been an important identifying attribute. Santa's laugh does not appear in most non-English-speaking lands. It's a tradition in the United States and Canada for children to leave a glass of milk and a plate of cookies intended for Santa, a thank you for all he's done. In Britain and Australia, beer or sherry and mince pies are left instead. In Scandinavian countries, it's porridge and sugar with cinnamon. If the child's Irish, Santa gets Guinness stout or milk, along with Christmas pudding or mince pies. Another tradition is children writing letters to Santa Claus, usually with a list of presents that they would love to receive. Letters to Santa have the educational benefit of practicing writing or perhaps computer and email literacy. These letters are often a child's first experience with correspondence, written and sent but with the help of a parent. It's rare but sweet to see a letter writer ask how Santa's doing before making any wishes known. Some postal services accept and deliver letters addressed to Santa Claus. The U.S. Postal Service has the oldest Santa letter answering effort started in 1912. Since 1940, it has been called Operation Santa and ensures that the letters are adopted by charitable organizations, major corporations, local businesses, and individuals in order to fulfill the wishes of children. The post office requests that a holiday letter or card be mailed by December 9th to 123 Elf Road, North Pole 88888. Hundreds of thousands of letters to Santa are received by the U.S. Post Office each year, and the number has increased in recent years. The French Postal Service receives over 1 million letters for Père Noël. These days, Père Noël, Father Christmas, usually looks just like Santa Claus. But sometimes he still has the odd appearance of a traveling monk with a hooded cloak instead of a red hat, and can be thinner. In Latin America, letters to Santa are sometimes tied to balloons instead of mailed. That's an 8-year-old girl in Nogales, Mexico, who did this in 2018. The rancher who found it and his wife were touched when the wish list in Spanish ended with, "Send me what you can." They contacted the radio station in Nogales, and the news was broadcast that the letter had been found. Within an hour, the father contacted them. Randy and Marcella Heiss met Dayami Leiva at the radio station and fulfilled her wishes. Some toys, clothes, magic markers, paints, and a coloring book. They told her Santa sent them. Dayami's father, Christian, said, quote, "Although we're in different countries, they didn't think, oh, they live there and we live here. They just knew we are all one community," end quote. Dayami had this to say, quote, "Thank you everyone for reading my little letter," end quote. Randy and Marcella Heiss had lost their own son years before, so would never have grandchildren. Heiss told the radio station, quote, "Getting to share Christmas with kids was something that's been missing in our lives," end quote. The real North Pole is under Canadian jurisdiction. Some have suggested that Lapland in northern Scandinavia is a more suitable location, since there is no landmass or reindeer at the North Pole. Each Nordic country claims Santa's residence within their territory. Norway insists he lives in Drøbak. In Denmark, he's said to reside in Greenland near Umanakak. In Sweden, it's the town of Mora, which also has a theme park. In Finland, Korvatanturi has long been known as Santa's home. And there is the Santa Claus Village theme park near Rovaniemi. Santa's main office is there, and children can drop by to visit him. A number of websites created by various organizations claim to track Santa Claus' yearly journey. The U.S. Air Force North American Space Command operates NORAD Track Santa, www.noradsanta.org, which began with a phone number in 1925. The site is available December 1st through 24th each year, with the actual Santa tracking simulation beginning at midnight on December 25th. You can also still call them. In 1891, the Salvation Army began its red kettle bell ringer tradition. Volunteers, typically dressed as Santa Claus, became part of the fundraising drives to aid the needy families at Christmas time. By 2000, however, Salvation Army bell ringers were asked not to wear Santa suits to avoid confusion with other organizations who do. In 1937, Charles W. Howard, who played Santa in department stores and parades, established a Santa Claus school in Midland, Michigan. Howard, a farmer in Albion, New York, established the school because he was displeased seeing other Santas in frayed suits and cheap beards acting clueless. His continues as the oldest Santa school in the world. Of course, he's long gone. Speaking of Santa impersonators, sometimes huge numbers dress up as him all at once. The largest gathering of people dressed as Santa Claus was in Thrissur, India, where 18,112 were gathered in December 2014. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the ninth reindeer, was created in 1939 by Robert L. May, a Montgomery Ward copywriter. The character was immortalized in the 1949 song by Gene Autry. Rudolph got to be the lead reindeer because his shiny red nose lit the way on a foggy Christmas Eve. The stop-motion animated feature Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, produced by Arthur Rankin Jr. and Jules Bass, had its debut in 1964. It is 52 minutes long. Critics praise the voice acting, soundtrack, animation style and characters, and sets. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is regarded as one of the best Christmas films ever made. It has been broadcast every year since 1964, the longest-running Christmas TV special in the United States. Not everyone loves Santa Claus. The cynical Grinch is a famous critic. He's a green, furry fictional creature invented by children's author and cartoonist Dr. Seuss in the 1957 children's book, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. In a twist at the end that would win Charles Dickens' approval, the Grinch is totally converted by the love shown each other by the Whos in their little village at the base of the ominous mountain where the Grinch lives. Christians have different opinions about Santa Claus, ranging from acceptance to denunciation. Some condemn the materialistic focus of contemporary gift-giving and see Santa Claus as the symbol of that culture, which takes away from the true meaning of Christmas. In 1958, Reverend Paul Nedergaard in Copenhagen, Denmark, declared Santa a heathen goblin. Mary Baker Eddy, the founder of the Christian Science movement in 1879, wrote, quote, "The children should not be taught that Santa Claus has aught to do with this Christmas pastime. A deceit or falsehood is never wise," end quote. Atheistic states don't like Santa either. The Soviet Union, a Russian empire which existed from 1922 to 91, held Marxist-Leninist doctrines. Christmas celebrations, along with other religious holidays, were prohibited under the Soviet attack on religion. The Communist Party encouraged school children to campaign against Christmas traditions, among them Santa Claus and the Christmas tree. An anti-religious holiday on New Year's Day was a replacement. But many Christmas traditions were kept alive on New Year's, such as the celebration of Ded Moroz, the Slavic Father Christmas, who emerged in the late 1800s. In December 2018, the City Management Office in Langfang, China, released a statement warning that people caught selling Christmas trees, wreaths, stockings, or Santa Claus figures in the city would be punished. Old St. Nick has been critiqued on other grounds. The original St. Nicholas gave gifts to those who were needy. He mirrors high ideals, the purity and innocence of childhood, giving unselfishly, steadfast love, justice, and mercy. Santa Claus today seems more about conspicuous consumption. Poor children receive less. Problems in society are highlighted this time of year: materialism and domination of the media by corporate interests. Santa Claus has even been used to sell alcoholic beverages, a practice outlawed in Ohio in 1987. Psychologists are divided over whether believing in Santa Claus is healthy for children. Some say reading fictional stories that feature him and pretending he is real is valuable as imaginative play, like believing in superheroes or other fictional characters. But actively deceiving to the point of fabricating false evidence, despite their growing natural doubts, can cause children to feel hurt when they find out the truth. In studies, disappointment was the most common response, but a small fraction of children felt betrayed by their parents. A few have reacted strongly, including rejecting the family's religious beliefs. Other problems with Santa are the association of material reward with good behavior and encouraging love of things and greed. In this line of thinking, parents are motivated by nostalgic and the short-term enjoyment of seeing their children happy and excited rather than what is really best for the child. Credulity and magical thinking is encouraged instead of critical thinking. Other psychologists disagree. The existence of Santa Claus isn't just affirmed by parents. Friends, books, television, movies, as well as the hard evidence of half-eaten cookies attest to his existence. A cultural lie is different than a parental lie, so parental trust is not undermined. One study verified this. Most children do not remain angry or embarrassed about the deception for very long. They are most likely to have a positive feeling about it after they are able to figure it out logically, such as realizing the impossibility of Santa visiting every home in a single night. Usually upon finding out the truth, the child felt older and more mature. They now knew something that the younger kids did not. Babies and toddlers do not understand the concept of fiction and nonfiction. Most children become developmentally able to believe in Santa Claus around the age 3 or 4. The belief is most prevalent at age 5, when around 85% of American children are sure he is real. Belief declines precipitously when children are 7 or 8 years old. Although the age when disillusionment occurs has been fairly stable for decades, it may be getting slightly lower over time. It would be a hard-hearted parent indeed who frowned upon the innocent joys of our children's cultural heritage. We should save our disapproval and hostility for things that really exploit the vulnerable, not Santa. Santa Claus continues to dominate the popular celebration of Christmas across the world. He is one of America's few cultural icons who is male and does not carry a weapon. Santa Claus is all about peace, joy, giving, and caring for other people. That's part of his true magic. Our society has increasingly been provided manufactured icons. Santa is much more organic, integral, and connected to the past. That is beautiful. So what is the truth about Santa Claus? He's a Dutchman. A little, rotund Dutchman with a pipe that might be magical. Santa Claus also has some German heritage that makes him look a little like cartoonist Thomas Nast. And a big dose of American ancestry through the illustrator Haddon Sundblom. And so, in his heart, Santa channels the loving, gift-giving spirit of good St. Nicholas. But is he real? Yes, in the dreams of little ones nestled all snug in their beds. I'm Don Ramey, wishing you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.